Okay. And hi, everybody. My name is Robert Jeffrey, and welcome to our On the Blordar Black Sci-Fi TV current event segment, where we bring you what's new and exciting in the world of Black Sci-Fi. Before we get into our conversation, don't forget to hit the subscribe button below so you can get notifications on when we post these new interviews. And if you like the segment, then let us know by hitting the like button. Today, we're going to speak with Geoff Thorne about his upcoming series, Green Lantern, which will be released in local comic book stores and digitally this upcoming April. So, uh, now that the the niceties are out the way, but no, the introduction's out the way. Welcome to the discussion or the interview, Geoff. How's
What's
everything
up,
going?
man?
Hey,
I'm doing
man.
great. I'm doing great, but you tell me, right? You got an advanced copy. So, I mean, I know what it is.
Yeah, for me, I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it, and this is coming from a background of being a sci-fi opera fan and
Mm.
Green Lantern fan, and I was going to say somebody who's contributed to Lantern, to the Lantern universe. Also, from that perspective too, it's a really solid start, and it gets everybody immersed into the universe. Um, so those are my 2 cents. So those are Robert's two
Oh, wow.
cents.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Um,
really enjoyed it.
I'm glad. I think I just I'm happy with that. I think
Mhm.
the two artists on the book,
Yeah.
I think they complemented each other very well, considering what we had them drawing.
Hmm.
Because there's a very clear cut between the two
Yep.
sort of situations. Um, I don't know how much we can talk about details because I don't know when you're going to launch this. Like, I don't want to spoil things for the audience, but
Well, let's we can keep it kind of general, for now, because even the questions that I have, I think should give people a sense of where
okay,
everything's at post future state. So we can kind of work
yeah.
within that realm. And if we do encounter spoilers, I'll just wave my hands around like a madman and say spoilers.
So all right, great, great,
Just
great.
do all that.
Okay, all
So
right.
let's start with first of all, congrats on future state. So
Thank you.
now that we are post future state, where are things at with Stewart and the rest of the core right now?
Okay, well, it's weird because in our real world we're post
Hmm.
future state, but
Right,
in the story world we're pre future state
right.
by 15 years, 14 years.
Hmm.
Um, all the stuff that happened in future state, I think our book was the closest to the present day, but it's still almost 20 years from now.
Hmm.
So where we are is Green Lantern Corps. Some of the criticism of the Future State book was, well, where are they using their rings? Like, they don't have their rings. They lost their rings 20 years ago. They don't. This is what they've been doing.
Yeah.
It's hard out here for a pimp, like, for real, right? But the in the present day, the big situation started in the Superman books.
Hmm.
John and Clark basically put the smackdown on the galaxy's big powers. Like, what is wrong with you? We're these people on this little stupid planet, and even we have the United Nations.
Hmm.
Like, what is wrong with you?
Right.
Grow up, right? We're not having this anymore. You need to be United Planets. And they're like, oh, maybe we do. So they put their little alien heads together and came up with the United Nations for themselves. They're creating a civilization together. And all of a sudden it becomes an issue because for, let's say, hundreds of thousands of years, conservatively,
Hmm.
the Guardians and various operatives, but mostly Green Lanterns, have been like, okay, I'll do what you guys got to do, but if you get out of hand, we're going to send out one of our people to smack you,
Hmm.
right? Or if things get really crazy, we're going to send out a couple of our people to rescue, right?
Right.
We're going to be that for you, right? On a certain level, that sounds very benign, but when you're dealing with alien species, what is natural for a particular alien species to do might put them into conflict. Like, literally, lions eat antelope. If
Hmm.
there are no antelope, the lions die. So they can't eat all the antelope, but they're definitely going to eat some of them. And then the Green Lantern shows up and goes, "Why are you eating all these peaceful antelope?" Like, because we kind of have to, yo. We got to eat these antelope or we're all
Right.
going to die. well, we've got to come up with an alternative. Do we though? Because we've been eating these antelope for like 500,000 years, and you just showed up with your magic ring telling us we don't need to do that anymore. Who are you exactly? Who do you work for?
Yep.
Right. So that conversation has to have happened thousands of times
Mhm.
over all this time the Guardians have been sending out their operatives.
Mhm.
And by the way, they screwed up with the Manhunters. The Manhunters just straight up killed people. Like, we don't like it, you're all dead.
Yep.
You're troubling. We're just going to kill everybody. That solves the problem,
Mhm.
right? That's to leave a mark.
Yeah.
So when we start the book, those questions are being brought up by the various powers that are interested in unifying, but they're not certain necessarily all of them. Not all of them are necessarily interested in unifying with the Guardians.
Yes.
Some of them may think it's a perfect time to say, you know what, there's the door.
Yeah.
Like,
And
this is the time we get to say we've had it with you.
yeah, and that's one of the things that I enjoyed even as a Lantern fan, is that the sheen and the luster is kind of lost, a little bit when it comes to the core.
Mhm.
And with this, I think it's called the United Planets Conclave. It's this whole
Yeah,
idea of out of chaos, we're trying to bring order, or also just represent the fact that everybody doesn't ride hard with the core, like, and we see that. Um,
right.
so one of the things that kind of popped up out of that was, this question is like, why is John so reluctant, it seems, in thinking that this might be a good idea, when it comes to the conclave?
I think it is. I think what I just said is that um, a lot of these people have been at each other's throats.
Mhm.
And that they're willing to stop is good, but part of the thing that's kept them apart has been the Guardians literally
Mhm.
keeping them apart. So bringing them all to Oa at the same time, um, to
Yeah.
a place where the people who run the planet are people they don't like,
Mhm.
right? Like, I don't want to spoil it too much because some of this is actually in the book. Like,
Mhm.
it's a large part of the story of the book. But
Yeah.
John's misgivings turn out to be not wrong.
Right.
Like, there are some factions, even within people who agree, like in the real world, America is a particular way, but
Mhm.
there are people inside America who'd be perfectly happy to, I don't know, storm the Capitol building and try to kill our government. Like, those guys were Americans.
Yeah.
You can't say they're not Americans. They're
Right.
Americans, right? So our government says one thing, tries to do a particular thing, but there's a bunch of people inside our country that feel a different way. And if you invited them all to the Olympics festival, maybe some of them are going to act a fool,
Yeah.
right? We don't know. That's why we have security at these functions, right? So John is concerned. He's the leader of the Corps in this book, and he has concerns that are different than someone who's just chilling. Like, I'm a regular Green Lantern, or even if I'm an elite Green Lantern, I don't have to have the big. I don't have to have a big overview. I
Yeah.
don't have to think about it like 30,000 feet. I have to think about what's happening on my beat,
Yep.
you know? So John's concerns are legit, and the Guardians share those concerns,
It's awesome.
right?
And I kind of see this conflict, nowhere better exemplified than with and I hope I'm pronouncing her name right,
Oh, yeah,
Amiria Kalan.
Amira Khan, yeah,
Mary Kalan, it's like
yeah,
she has this ideal. She feels that the lanterns are kind of outdated, and that there might not actually be a need for them.
yeah.
And for me, that's kind of new. As a reader, and I love that there's kind of it's another surface level conflict that Stewart is just like, I got to deal with this again.
Yeah.
Kind of talk about her as her role as a resident Thanagarian, in the story.
Well, I mean, we love the Thanagarians, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Like, there's a lot of conversation about the Kuns being the DC Universe's Klingons,
Hmm.
but the Thanagarians are kind of the Klingons,
I can
right?
see that. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
you know, and they're just like, look, we got this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you guys are soft. We've been handling our business for quite a long time without any help from you idiots. We don't need
Hmm.
you. We don't want you. And we're gonna hold it down for the United Planets. Like,
Yeah.
it's not just Thanagarians. The part that was sort of set up in the other book is the brigade, the United Planets Brigade, is made up of members of all of these
Oh wow. Okay.
species,
Okay.
right? It's
Gotcha.
not just Thanagarians, which
Hmm.
I don't know that that comes across in the book because some of the people you can't identify,
Hmm.
you might think are civilians, but they're brigadiers.
Okay.
Some of them are brigadiers. Basically, anyone who's shooting a gun and not a ring
Is
is
a
a brigadier,
brigadier. Okay.
right?
Okay.
So not all of them have wings,
Hmm.
but in this particular case, this particular captain was assigned to this particular event. So
Okay.
she's got a ship in orbit, and her whole giant crew. She's Captain Kirk,
Right.
right?
Right.
She's like a Thanagarian Captain Kirk, and yeah, she's like, look, Starfleet's got this. We don't need you, you Q people with your little magic Q rings
No, not Q.
showing up,
Not
right?
Q.
But you know what I mean? Like it's the
Yeah. No, I
equivalent
understand.
of
I definitely
like,
understand.
so what? Well, the same question would come to her. I
Hmm.
am the sanctioned authority of this government.
Hmm.
Exactly what position do you occupy in my chain of command?
Hmm.
Right? Like, you're certainly not my boss. You're
Right.
not one of my crew. So how are we supposed to relate to each other? My vote would be exit stage right for you all,
Hmm.
right? Unless you're going to fold into this in some way, I don't know what I can do with you,
Right.
right? Now,
Yeah.
in this particular situation, Oa has planetary sovereignty.
Hmm.
So she can't just do whatever the hell.
Right.
But you see in the book what she would have done if things were like slightly different. If the chain of command was slightly
Yep.
different, you know how this would have played out because she says it point blank. I'm
Hmm.
about to do this.
Yeah.
And John's like, excuse me?
And I can definitely see, it's funny. I can see the Kirk. I can see the Kirk in that moment where
Yeah,
no questions asked, and one of the other things that stands out to me is that even though the Brigadiers and the Green Lantern Corps aren't necessarily working for, like, let's say, the same country, I see a lot of that interagency rivalry. If you think about like the alphabet soup of agencies that we have in
absolutely that.
this country, like the
Absolutely that.
FBI, CIA,
Yep, exactly that.
ABCs, 1, 2, 3, and it's just all that, and
No,
not
you're
diminishing.
exactly that.
Yeah, not
Exactly that.
diminishing the importance of any agency, but it's just like sometimes the wires get crossed and so on. And I
Yeah,
and
and
I love that.
what's your area? What's your jurisdiction? How are we going to
Exactly.
play together if we're going to?
Yeah.
Right? It's
Hmm.
not settled that you're even going to be part of this at the beginning of
Exactly.
this story.
Right.
Like, and she's cool with that. She's
Hmm.
dead like, I'm cool with no more Green Lanterns, yo. Don't even
Yeah.
care. So, so,
Yeah.
um, so yeah, she's great. She's a new character, obviously.
I love it.
I
Yeah.
hope she'll be sticking around. I hope people like her. Um, the other new character who will probably be sticking around is the Kaluan lady.
Okay. Gotcha.
Um, she will be definitely sticking around for the first half,
Okay.
depending on how things go.